So, good evening, everybody. We are here again with a new PBL Talk, our series of interviews on international tax matters. Today, we are really honored to have with us our friend Rogério Fernandes Ferreira, who is partner of his tax law firm in Portugal, one of the leading firm in Portugal. And Rogério, together with the main partner of his law firm, is also professor at the public university and the Catholic University in Portugal in relation with international tax matters. And he was former Secretary of State of the Portuguese government. So we are honored to have you here tonight, Rogério. Thanks a lot for accepting. And on behalf of PBL law firm and Pietro Bracco, we are very happy to have you here. So, first of all, we would like to start, Rogério, with a brief overview of, as we are doing more or less with the other hosts, with a little overview of what is happening in Portugal with this COVID emergency, and under a tax perspective, what is doing the Portuguese government about that?
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Luca, for this invitation. It's really a pleasure to meet with you. I would like to do it personally, but as it is impossible now, it's a pleasure to meet with you. Thank you for your invitation. Well, the Portuguese government, I would say that since the 11th of March, that is worried with this pandemic situation and approved several measures to combat this pandemic situation. Everywhere else, we closed the schools. We are still confined now, but nevertheless, I think if we compare with other countries like yours, we cannot say that we have a big problem. On the health side of the issue. This is the first thing, but we have several measures approved by the Portuguese government with the support of the Portuguese Parliament and with the support of the President of the Portuguese Republic. There is no problem on that. People are all confined at home. So the problem is more than in different countries, an economic problem. So the government suspended most or all the economic activities in Portugal. Everything is closed, the restaurants, except hospitals, in fact. In what regards the courts, it's the same. The courts are closed, so even so we can really work until I would say we'll have this situation until 15 days, more or less. But I think it will be interesting on the tax side. Okay, on the tax side, there are some measures like the payment of VAT or the personal income tax or the corporate income tax in what relates to withholdings can be paid on monthly installments, on 3 or 4 monthly installments. It's the first measures for taxpayers. There is a suspension of all the executive tax procedures. I don't think there is something different in other countries. There is an extraordinary extension of social benefits, credit protection measures for families and for companies, moratoriums approved until September, till the end of September of 2020. Some other customs duty reliefs and exemptions from VAT on imports of goods, goods needed to combat the COVID-19, and also some tax reliefs on the purchase of medical equipment, including masks, protection equipment, test kits, etc. The employers, there is a specific measure, maybe it could be interesting to the employers in the private and social sectors with a loss of at least 20% of the turnover in March, April, and May. They have some moratoriums and they can defer the social contributions payments as well as some VAT payments as well. There is, as I told you, a general suspension of litigation with some very specific exceptions. And maybe the most important measure was the layoff procedure. With this layoff procedure, 2/3 of the salary, all the employees or the employees are working from home, or if they are at layoff, they are paid 2/3. They are paid by the state, 70% by the state and 30% by the employer, which means that the other third is in fact supported by the employee. So these are the most important, I would say, the most important measures that were taken. As you see, it's the layoff, the most important. After it's credit moratoriums and the payment of taxes on some installments until the end of September 30.
Thank you very much, Rogerio, for the clear explanation. As you said, yeah, we are all in line. I think all the countries are implementing almost the same rules. During our talk, we like also to open a little bit the view, not only to domestic context, but also to international one, always based on your experience and on the Portuguese side. So if you have time to say few words on the international context, it would be great for us.
Well, the pandemic emergency was declared by the Portuguese authorities after, I think, on the 14th of March. So we don't have so much time to know what kind of international tax problems and implications this situation will have. Nevertheless, what we can say is that it will arrive some tax problems. Just to think, first of all, Portugal, like other countries, closed very quickly. In fact, the frontiers. I don't know if you know, but it was a phone call from our Prime Minister to the Spanish Prime Minister that in 1 hour they closed the frontiers from Spain. It was something incredible. Yep. But in fact, I think we'll have some problems derived by the border controls regarding the flow in and the flow out of the country and the return of the Portuguese nationals and the departures of the foreign residents. The problem that can arrive are common. We will have some Portuguese nationals, tax residents abroad that are now caught by the lockdown ordered by the Portuguese authorities, and they may be forced to stay in Portugal much longer than originally planned by them. So maybe the tax authorities, if they don't think about the specific situation that we are living, maybe they will want to consider them as residents for tax purposes in 2020. This is the first question that we can say. Another problem, it's around the employment income. Some Portuguese nationals who are tax residents in foreign countries, we are employed by foreign companies and could still receive their salaries from these foreign companies, but they are working from their homes in Portugal. Well, this income literally could qualify as a Portuguese-sourced employment income, and therefore can be subject also to personal income tax in Portugal if this person stays more than 183 days in Portugal. After it's the permanent establishment activity performed in Portugal could be seen in Portugal as a permanent establishment of a foreign employee in Portugal. So this could be also a problem. And the last, this is problems that start to arrive. Tax residents who in Portugal who are unable to travel to Portugal could give substance to some structures, and in fact they cannot now because they are not in the countries where they should be working. So this is the kind of problems that I think that will arrive in some time if the Portuguese tax authorities in fact have a strict interpretation of these international tax rules.
Starting also from this international standpoint, and also considering, I didn't mention at the beginning that Rogério is also the president of the Portuguese CIFA branch of the International Fiscal Association. So we would like to take the occasion from your position at the international level. We read the paper, an article that you wrote 3 weeks ago. It was the first 10 days of April, where you were talking about a sort of COVID shot tax at the EU level. I really find this argument really interesting, also considering the other talks that we had in these days with other professors, for example, the one with Professor Van Istendal. So we really appreciate if you could explain your idea that was expressed in this very interesting article, Rogério.
We are living an historical time, I would say, and a particularly difficult historical time. And the historical time, it's affecting nations and nations with a shared history. So at the same time, we are seeing that some countries like ours and like yours, we have a huge public debt. I don't know exactly on Italy, but I think you have more or less 139% of the GDP. We have more or less the same problem because we have 125 more or less of GPD. But if we check Greece or even France, that has more or less almost 100 GPD of public debt, or even if we compare to other countries like the Netherlands or like Germany, we are not at the same playing field. This is the problem. We are not at the same level. And I'm thinking, and nowadays I'm really thinking about our children in the future. They don't have future because they will have to pay taxes on the future because now we want to solve the problems with more debt. So I was starting to think about that in the history of the 20th century, we had several war taxes. And if this is a war, we can have a tax for that as well. This was the first thought about it. So there are historical taxes from France, from UK, even from Switzerland, like with this nature, and there are some constitutions who in fact thought about this problem. I'm just thinking about the Brazilian constitution. In these kind of cases, parliament and the government are allowed to approve taxes to solve these problems of these difficult and historical times caused by wars. And what this was the problem that I wanted at the same time to give other solutions than debt and then public debt. We are not at the same playing field, and we should not want to let taxes for the future into our children and to our grandchildren. This is the problem. The problem. So, without encumbering future generations, I think we could immediately, and Europe should immediately create a kind of new redistribution tax. What is a redistribution tax? It's a tax where you can know before the tax, you say what is the recept that you will need to solve the problem. So this is what is a redistribution tax. In my opinion, it should be a simple short tax during a period of 1 or 2 years maximum, a kind of European redemption tax, I would say, able to generate the necessary liquidity throughout the member states. This is a solution. It should be approved to be an European tax, approved by the European Council, proposed by the European Commission, and supported by the European Parliament. That's what I think, and it should be, in fact, approved. At the same time, without any national intervention, other than the assessment and the collection of the tax. It should be approved by a regulation, an European regulation, and maybe for 2001 or 2002 or even 2001. The amount should be a percentage of the European GPD. I don't know how much it should be approved and discussed between all the member states. The tax rate determined in advance, maybe with the minimum exemption threshold, which in this case I think it could be could differ in each member state. We are not all the same, so this minimum exemption threshold may be different in Europe, and should tax, in my opinion, not the companies, but the private individuals. That's my opinion is different from the last interview, because we cannot tax, in my view, now companies. We have to support the companies. So this tax, at least in my opinion, should tax private individuals on net financial assets. It means savings, including bank savings like deposits, but also on other immovable assets, like a kind of surcharge on the property tax. I don't know. We could think about 1.5 or 2% on all these this tax. So it should be mainly on, but also on other immovable assets, like a surcharge on the property tax. But in my opinion, excluding equity or private debt securities such as bonds, shares, or shareholders' loans, because we have to protect the companies. Now it's the time to protect companies and the economic activity and the business activity. It would refer to ownership of these taxable assets, of course. Well, at the same time, it will not be impossible to tax on a specific moment, as it's a short tax. It could be retroactive. It could be justified as a retroactive tax measure. We are in a pandemic situation, and if we could choose, I would choose the 11th of March, because 11th of March was when the World Health Organization started to say that we had a pandemic problem. So at the same time, it will be assessed by the financial intermediaries, meaning banks, throughout a kind of tax substitution, okay, and by the national tax authorities on the immovable assets. This tax would be levied, in my opinion, as I was saying, on private individuals and residents in the European Union. So it will tax nationals of other countries outside of European Union that are tax residents in Portugal, and maybe not only on their assets in European Union, but also on the assets outside of the European Union as European tax residents. If people want to live in Europe, they may be taxed in Europe as tax residents, but always excluding companies. Okay, companies. The nature of this tax, I would call him a kind of new European solidarity tax, exclusively allocated and consignated to fighting the effects and the health effects and economic effects of the pandemic in Europe. Maybe we could call him the new extraordinary European COVID shot tax, because of the temporary, as it's a temporary tax. I don't have figures for that, But maybe just you to give us an idea about what we have in Portugal. In Portugal, the GDP is more or less 220,000 millions. Well, the bank deposits are more or less 2/3 of the Portuguese GDP. So you will get around 150,000 millions. If you say that half of it, 50%, are bank deposits of companies that we don't want to tax, we will get more or less 70,000 million for private individuals. For immovable property, we have more or less 660,000 millions in what we call patrimonial value. It's more or less 85% of the market value of the property in Portugal. So if we exclude companies, we will have around 400,000 million in these assets. If we add the public debt certificates, which is, I would say, more or less 10% of the public debt, we'll say that we have here more or less 25,000 millions. Okay, so if we add bank deposits, immovable property, and public debt, we will get around 500,000 millions. If you put 1.5% of tax rate, you will get 7,500 millions for the short tax just in Portugal. As GPD of Portugal is more or less 1.2 of Europe, you just multiply it for 100 and you have a minimum of 750,000 millions of a short tax, European short tax. This is more or less what we foresee for the fund that we are discussing for the next years. So I would prefer this than more public debt. And for Italy or Spain or even France, and why not for Germany or for the Netherlands, what would they prefer? What is 1.5% on our deposits and on our savings? It's nothing. And this is a short tax just to solve a war that is this pandemic situation.
No, really, really interesting. A new suggestion on the European field. So that's, I think that we need to think about the way of funding the money for, on the one side, saving the economy, as you said, and on the other side, to allow the state to go on with the normal life of the state. So that's an interesting point of view to think about. No way, absolutely. Thanks for this.
And at the last thought, if this is an European tax, we can distribute it in different way. There are countries we need more subsidies than others. I'm thinking about Italy and I'm thinking about Spain. I'm also just these two countries. You need more help from Europe than other countries, and this is a way that the European Union can solve a problem in a different way in each country.
Thanks a lot, Rogerio, because as Pietro can confirm, the aim of our talks is exactly this. So to have different overviews to solve this kind of a particular situation of emergency. So your idea is very important for us. So understand the ideas of different operators of the tax field. And so beside the others, your idea today for us, it was an occasion to think and to rethink about the taxation at the EU level. So beside the proposal of the professors, as Van Instadal, as you mentioned, Also, this one that is not addressed to the companies, because you don't want to penalize the situation of the companies that in this moment are.
It's not a moment. It's just this.
The motor for the restart again. You are saying, okay, why not to address this tax just to person and to the richness of the people at the EU level. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure. We hope to see you in person as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot, and good luck for the restarting also in Portugal. And see you soon. Bye bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Bye.
Bye, Luca. Thank you.
Bye bye.